Municipal elections in BC, they don't usually grab much of my attention, but this year's elections were an exception. The cities, both large and small, turfed their mayors and many council members throughout the province. Vancouver voters were incensed enough to rise up and fire an incumbent mayor for the first time in 42 years. They don't get up and fire their politicians often. And it's not just the mass turnover of politicians I'm celebrating, though that's always great to see. I mean, we'd be all well served if the voters fired their politicians more often. But what I'm thrilled with today is the reason the BC voters fired their municipal masters. They're sick and tired of soft on crime, progressive politicians. Now, this story still has dark underpinnings. I'm trying to be positive, but there's a dark base. The crime and general disorder in BC cities has gone completely out of control. I mean, Vancouver's tent cities, they're the stuff of dystopian nightmares, while citizens in cities as small as Penticton have formed vigilante groups to try and recover stolen property. Progressive policies of enablement and denial when it comes to dealing with addiction and mental health issues have led to a catastrophe. Homelessness has skyrocketed, overdose deaths have become almost commonplace. The crime associated with the explosive growth in addiction is spilled into every community in the province. So citizens had tired out of being told they were insensitive when they claimed about increasing crime. I mean, people were shamed. You were called poor bashers if you dared to say you might feel unsafe on the streets. Defunding and shaming of police forces. I mean, that's been the order of the day in progressive-led cities. Police forces are underfunded, understaffed, and demoralized. It's a little wonder they act out. They're trying to keep people safe in a catch-and-release justice system while constantly being crapped on by municipal leaders. It's a wonder they even get out of their cars these days. People know what civic politicians won't admit. Untreated addicts and people with mental health issues are out of control, and they're often dangerous. We saw the worst sort of example of this just the other day as a female RCMP officer was stabbed to death in a Burnaby tent encampment. Even armed and trained police officers aren't safe among these enclaves of addicts, and we're being asked to refer to these addicts as vulnerable people. Well, those vulnerable people just killed a 31-year-old police officer. No matter who's elected to office, there's not going to be an easy or quick solution to the addiction epidemic and the crime that comes with it. The issue is multifaceted, and every level of government needs to tackle it. We need to quit releasing violent offenders. We need to quit pretending that addicts are rendered harmless if we could just give them pure drugs to consume at a supervised site. We need to shut down the foolish notion that high housing costs are at the root of the issue. If homes were $100,000 each in Vancouver, how many of the junkies in the tents in the East Hastings would suddenly say, oh, okay, I'll go out and buy one? These addicts aren't fit for housing anywhere, and they likely won't be until they're treated. Likewise, people with serious mental health issues can't remain untreated on the streets. We need more secured, long-term mental health treatment facilities, and we need to accept that some people are going to be better off, possibly for life, in an institution rather than on the streets. If even Vancouver voters have figured this out, I'm confident that cities outside of Lotus Land are ready to send their local politicians the same message. In Calgary, addicts have taken over the transit system, while Mayor Jody Gondek is fixated on an insane $87 billion climate change program. Stabbings and overdoses are commonplace downtown, while satellite communities outside of the city are experiencing growth from both businesses and citizens as they flee the city. The politicians and entrenched bureaucrats will never figure it out, but voters can, and they have. We have quite a while before we get a chance to fire the progressive failures in our local governments. They're going to continue to do us more damage in the meantime. In light of the BC election results, though, I have some hope that things are going to get better.
You can become a Western Standard member for just $10 a month or $99 a year for unlimited access.
Alberta Prosperity Project is dedicated to protecting Alberta's world-class energy sector and has invited Alex Epstein, American author of the best-selling new book, Fossil Future, to speak on the importance of fossil fuels and the vital role they play in our economy. Join us on Friday, October 28th at the Westin Calgary Airport for Beef and Beer with Alex Epstein. You will not want to miss this. Buy your tickets at www.albertaprosperityevents.com today.